पब्लिसिटी चाहिए, मेरे बारे में लोग लिखें, पेपर में मेरा नाम आए, इंटरनेट पे मेरा नाम आए. How significant it is.
This is a very sensitive topic. This is a very sensitive for person who is dealing with this. So how you can get so insensitive just to get little publicity?
So Poonam, if you're listening to this, apologize immediately. Don't wait. You have caused a lot of pain to my friend here and million others. Don't play around with emotions of people who are sick. And if you have to seek attention, do something else. Well, media people are not so stupid, so juvenile, and so retarded to touch a girl who has talked like this. She has to really go for a Vipassana workshop, explore herself, and ask herself, how is it that I can be a better human being? How is it that I can be a better artist?
करो, आप अपनी बॉडी के साथ, अपनी लाइफ के साथ आपको जो करना है करो, but don't play with others' emotions. Don't play with the sentiments. Don't do that. That is very shame.
Dr. Ashish Bakshi, Dr. Harish Shetty, and Dolly Soi. Appreciate all three of you for joining me on Times Network. I don't know how to describe this conversation for which we are here, but it's something to do with, or rather, all to do with Poonam Pandey on what she has done yesterday. And she told the world, I mean, through either her PR team or through her family from a social media handle, that she is no more. And she has passed away due to cervical cancer. And the whole day, I think everybody was talking about her, the media was writing about her, but nobody knew whether the news is true. Where is she? What has happened? Or where was she and what happened? I don't know which grammar is true here. But this morning, it came again on a social media handle that she's alive. And cervical cancer did not claim me, she says. Now, if this is an awareness campaign, then please tell us whether it really is. Dr. Bakshi, I think you would be the right person, leading oncologist here, to start with this.
So, in my view, I think this kind of an stunt is actually outrageous, absolutely immature and inappropriate. And this is something that, in my view, should not have been done at all. Okay, we need to raise awareness about cervical cancer. Absolutely, no questions about that. It's a major, important disease in the country, and a lot of women suffer from it. It is the second leading cause of diseases in our country in women, followed by today breast cancer is more common in urban India, but cervical cancer is the second most common. In rural India, cervical cancer is the number one disease. So we definitely need to create awareness, but this kind of stunt is something I don't think so somebody can appreciate it really.
Dolly, has it hurt you? Because, sorry to bring this up, but in fact, we know that you have been suffering from cancer and you're fighting it out now with chemotherapy, fourth chemotherapy done, now radiations you're undergoing from Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. What impact does such a news have on you?
Believe me, Vicky, when I saw that news on Insta, when I opened my Insta and I saw that news, and I was very shocked. A person who was just so young, age of 32, just passed away due to cervical cancer. And I was so curious to know about that, like, कि उसे कोई symptoms नहीं मिले, उसे कुछ ऐसी कोई problem नहीं हुई. Why she didn't know that, like, she's like, diagnosed with this disease. And I was the whole day, I was very disturbed also, because it was very shocking and mentally disturbing news, since I'm facing this problem, facing this disease. So believe me, my whole family was also very disturbed. Like, मैं Insta open करती थी, तो I was just like, it was totally about, like, Poonam Pandey. And I saw her recent videos also, which they were showing, like, 4 days ago, like she was in Goa and she was like partying over there. And I'm like, how is this possible? Person who was just like, having fun 4 days ago and now just suddenly passed away due to this disease. It's not possible. So many questions were going on in my mind, and I was totally very disturbed. And mentally, I was like, I could not the strength I was having in me, the willpower I was having to fight with this disease. I was kind of like, it was shaken up. So it was very shocking news. And I think so this was like very stupid way of doing the awareness. So this is very cheap on Poonam Pandey, I believe.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It takes the fight out of you for a few hours initially, at least, and you start wondering that, I mean, what lies in store,
Yeah,
despite the fact that you are fighting it out successfully.
right. Believe me, whenever I was opening my Insta, my mom was news because she didn't want me to go on Insta and see that news and get disturbed again and again.
Dr. Shetty, leading psychiatrist out here, I want you to read the mind of such a person. Poonam has been, giving controversial statements in the past also. For example, if you know that she had said that I'll strip if India wins the 2011 World Cup. That was one statement I distinctly remember. But what do you make out of such kind of approach?
I think you can't shock and to inspire. I mean, I don't know who are her advisors, or she is herself her own advisor. I would like her immediately to apologize to the entire world, not only to the country, for making such outrageous statements, and also tell the world that she will never do it. If there's a law which equates to causing mental abuse, harm, and disgust, and also very severe loss of confidence among the patients, FIR should be filed against her. I never knew who she was, but because of her nonsense, shame on her that I know who Poonam Pandey is. And from tomorrow, if I see anything about Poonam Pandey, I will never trust her. So Poonam, if you're listening to this, apologize immediately. Don't wait. We have caused a lot of pain to my friend here and million others. Don't play around with emotions of people who are sick. And if you have to seek attention, do something else. I again restrain my words, fold my hands, and ask you to apologize immediately.
I think Dr. Shetty raised a very important point that, it will be difficult to believe her in similar kind of words you said. Dolly, if I just ask you a very offhand question. If she calls you tomorrow and says, I'm Poonam Pandey, will you believe that the voice at the other end indeed is Poonam?
No, I won't. I won't believe her. Whether I know today, like she is apologizing to everyone, but it is still not acceptable. The way she did this promotion, the way she did this awareness, just to get the little publicity, hurting others' feelings, person who is going through this pain, this is not acceptable. And whoever is like helping her also, they should also understand the feelings of patients and the families who are like dealing with this disease, that this is actually not acceptable. Publicity karni hai, aap karo na. There's so many ways. Vicky, I just saw like this recently. I just like before joining this, I was on Insta and I was just looking at that her. Sorry, I just get a little breathless. Urfi Javed's post. She just posted, guys, I'm not dead. I'm just hangover from last night. Is this really required? Like you making fun of this now? sensitive. This is a very sensitive topic. This is a very sensitive person who is dealing with this. So how you can get so insensitive just to get little publicity? This is actually shame on them. I really feel for them, like, they are sick. They should get the treatment done. They should go under some psychiatrist and get some counseling. They need that. How they can do the awareness? They are not the people who can do the awareness.
Yeah, Dr. Bakshi, I'll bring you on that point, which Dolly said earlier, that she saw some pictures and videos where she was partying in Goa 3 days back. I happened to speak to Rohit Verma, who's a fashion stylist right now. And he had done a bikini shoot with her just 1 or 2 days back, where Ritu Shivpuri was there, Divya Agarwal was there, and a few other actors and celebrities. He also was saying that I didn't see any signs of cervical cancer, or वो थकावट भी नहीं थी. She was not sitting down. She was as bubbly as ever. So you can make out, right, when the person is suffering from second or third stage. What are the signs like? If you can perhaps educate us right now on what are the signs to watch out for in cervical cancer, since we are talking on this topic, and what are the precautions that one can take perhaps to avoid this?
So, firstly, in terms of the signs and symptoms, usually the symptoms would be in the form of a abnormal vaginal bleeding, particularly after an intercourse. Some women can have a discharge which may be either white in color or yellowish in color or red in color. And in more advanced stages, patients can have symptoms of pain. Now, typically, like somebody like what she said, that she has an advanced cancer and the news of her death, that usually will happen only if somebody has an advanced stage of disease, where actually patients can have other symptoms like breathlessness or some other symptom. Now, in her case, obviously, actually, it raised suspicion yesterday also that if she was kind of having those shootings 4 days back, it was very unlikely that cervical cancer could actually be directly attributed as a cause of death for her claim. Well, besides that, from a larger perspective, for the general public, it is important to know that cervical cancer is actually a potentially preventable cancer and potentially treatable cancer also. We can cure, it's a potentially curable cancer also, particularly when it is detected in an early stage of the disease. Now, there are two options that are commonly, we recommend that. We recommend vaccination for people before their first sexual encounter, ideally. So from the age of 9 to 14 years of age. And also what is recommended is that a pap smear examination should be done to look for presence of the cervical cancer. So these two strategies have actually helped. In the US, when they started doing this pap smear examination, they brought down the mortality of cervical cancer by 75% just by doing pap smear examination. At that time, vaccination was not there. Nowadays, with the availability of vaccination, the cancer can be further prevented.
So now, how do you avoid it? I mean, you said there is a possibility that.
Yes. So avoiding means actually. So the most common reason for the development of cervical cancer is human papilloma virus, and this virus is actually known to spread through the sexual route. So and those women who have multiple sex partners, they are more likely to have the disease. Similarly, it's a sexually transmitted disease, so they can get transmitted through other routes also. They can get it from the men also. And apart from this virus is also known to cause other cancers also. Like in men, it can cause a penile cancer, it can cause anal canal cancer. So those are other also reasons. And so particularly if somebody practices safe sex, then their chances of having this becomes less. So barrier methods, particularly like condoms, they are not being shown to be very effective at prevention of transmission, but still it is highly recommended that people should, those particularly who are having multiple sexual partners, they should use a barrier method of precaution. And plus, as I said, the vaccination and pap smear examination can help us in significantly reducing the morbidity and mortality due to this disease.
So how much is the difference in the incidence of cervical cancer when it comes to men and women? What's the percentage?
So majority you can say is almost 90% are women. In men, the HPV associated cancers are commonly oropharyngeal cancers and penile cancers, and they are not that common if you see the overall incidence.
So
But
almost
of course, they are well described, and we
9:1
do
you can
routinely encounter them. Yes, you can say 9:1. Yes.
Dr. Shetty, can you elaborate a little more into the, dissect the psyche of a person who is, I don't know whether you can call this, is the person in question, Poonam Pandey, hankering for attention?
Honestly-
very eager for attention. I don't want to
Honestly-
use the word desperate here, but perhaps that's the right word.
Honestly, I wouldn't know because I have never met her, and it is unfair for me to analyze her. But her behavior needs to be corrected. Otherwise, she's going to hit her leg by a sword. The damage she has done for herself. People will not touch her. Well, media people are not so stupid, so juvenile, and so retarded to touch a girl who has talked like this. She has to really go for a Vipassana workshop, explore herself, and ask herself, how is it that I can be a better human being? How is it that I can be a better artist? But more than that, I would like to share that people who have cervical cancer have different other emotional conditions. For example, I still remember Dr. Bakshi referred to me a lady who refused to come to him for any chemotherapy or radiotherapy. And then what we found, Vicky, is that she had underlying depression which the family did not believe. And the family said, "Arey yaar, cancer hota to sabko depression hota." Aisa nahi hai. Disappointment, frustration, discontent, and sadness is different than clinical depression. And that is something we need to really differentiate. Disappointment, despair, demoralization can be corrected by group therapy, group counseling, peer counseling, and by doctors like Ashish Bakshi and others. But when it's clinical depression, you need to give antidepressants. And this lady, Ashish will remember, came back to her for chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Now, this is one part of the story. The second part of the story in mental health. I have a friend's mother who suddenly, without any symptoms, just a small bleed, and she was diagnosed to have cervical, and she refused to take any chemotherapy. She was not depressed, clinically depressed. There, what happened was showing her evidence, showing her data, showing her information, and helping her to talk to others who are on treatment, help her to get on treatment. The third most important mental health issue here is that how do you manage the family? Ashish knows best. A caring, comforting medical oncologist or a surgeon who has a sense of awareness of pain and is able to soothe the nerves of the patient and the family, the recovery is much better. The recovery is extremely better. And for all those who are listening to this program, don't become investigative journalists of the patient. कहाँ गए थे? आपको कैसे हुआ? कौन है आपके डॉक्टर? इनके पास क्यों गए? हमारे जो डॉक्टर के पास जाओ, वहाँ का नाम अच्छा नहीं है, ये अस्पताल ऐसा। चुप रहिए, कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं, तो शांति से सुनिए. Lastly, I still remember this survivor of cancer in a hospital. She was in hospital and she was in a similar state like our dear friend Dolly Sahi. And relatives would swarm and they would not leave the hospital till the patient starts crying. And for them, they felt that was something which I did and I healed. Please stay away if you can't behave. And all those who are on treatment, please be with those whom you trust, whom you feel good about. It may not be a close relative, it could be anybody. Please identify and choose your safety net carefully. Lastly, again, I'm sorry, a lot of meditation, a lot of vipassana, a lot of any form of meditation also adds to the healing. Spiritual healing is as important as medical healing.
Dolly, I'm digressing a little here, but you being right in the center of glamour, TV and parties and meeting sometimes Bollywood people also. How important or how significant it is for these people कि भाई मुझे पब्लिसिटी चाहिए, मेरे बारे में लोग लिखें, पेपर में मेरा नाम आए, इंटरनेट पे मेरा नाम आए. How significant it is?
Vicky, of course, everybody wants the publicity. Everybody wants to be well known, be in the fame line. But again, there are some topics which are very sensitive. उनके साथ आप नहीं खेल सकते. मैं तो यही बोलूंगी, आप publicity करो ना. There nowadays there are so many female actors who are getting publicity doing nothing, right? And people who are just working 18 hours, 12 hours a day, and you doing day night shifts. Still, they are very laid back. They are not that famous,
Yeah.
but others are very famous, right? So I have no nothing against them. I have nothing against them कि वो ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हैं. करो, आप अपनी बॉडी के साथ, अपनी लाइफ के साथ आपको जो करना है करो. But don't play with others' emotions. Don't play with the sentiments. Don't do that. That is very shame.
It will be interesting to know from you because you also dealt with publicists, I'm sure, at some point of time in your career, and maybe you will learn from other actors also, how they work, if I can use the word, hand in glove with the publicist. What's the life of the publicist? I mean, in this media world, I mean, is it always to only? I understand it's almost like a protection barrier from the media and कि बस इतना ही मीडिया में देना है, इतना ही मीडिया में बताना है. But when they go through this, like for example, this in Poonam Pandey's case, her manager Nikita Sharma comes out and says and confirms her death on record. So इनके साथ इनकी दुनिया कैसी है? I somehow want to get into that and be a fly on the wall there.
I cannot talk about PR people because nowadays media is they just want spices, they just want news, and sometimes they just forget about they are human first than a PR. So kahin na kahin pe because of this media, social media, everything is in that race कि नहीं मेरा पहले आ जाए. So उस चक्कर में they are losing their sensitive topics and being very insensitive about gossips and articles.
No, I completely understand and agree with you. I completely agree with you. That is me first policy in the media is robbing away the credibility which largely was present before, and it's diminishing it with time. But what do you do in such a case? What do you do in such a case where it's coming from the celebrity's account that the person is no more and the manager is confirming?
I think so at that time you should first confirm the news and then publish करो कि इसको ये न्यूज़ कंफर्म है कि नहीं है. अगर because anybody can tomorrow I really don't understand how a person can go I'm dead. I really don't understand that. And people who are believing that without even confirming कि ये news right है ये wrong है. So I have no words for this thing.
Dr. Shetty, it would be interesting to ask you, do you get patients who say that, I'm not at peace with myself, I'm restless because I'm not getting publicity, I'm not getting attention, I'm ignored in my office, at my house. Do you get patients like these?
Absolutely. What happens is a lot of celebrities and corporate honchos, when they lose their chair, where people would call them and they were in a position of power, or those guys who were always hunted down by all newspapers or video channels and they had a splash for a long time. But they forget that the arc lights are never permanent. They forget they need to build their inner awareness to sustain themselves for a very long time, in spite of the fact that the cameras and arc lights don't point at them. What is significant is the media honchos or the production houses don't have any programs. The way we have induction programs for MBBS students, engineering students, we all really go through it to help them understand that this is not a formula car race. This is a rally which has to go across mountains, water, obstacles. The Bollywood, I don't call it actually Bollywood, I call it Hindi cinema. Hindi cinema or Indian cinema has not matured and wisdom has not come up to the fact that thinkers would join hands and help the young guys in the media to traverse a path which is absolutely mindful, where you don't hurt anybody, where you work hard, you focus and try and do your best. And that awareness, that responsibility, I think Indian cinema, big guys, production houses should really come together and have these induction classes for a lot of young actors. Arc lights and cameras may not be there for you. Amitabh Bachchan also learned the hard way. He went and asked for work from Mr. Chopra and he took up Mohabbat. If Amitabh Bachchan at that level can be so humble and go and ask for work without any qualms, kill shame and seek help. That's what he did. I think this software has to be really addressed by those who are experienced, those who are wise, and those who have been through the entire journey, so that the young boys and girls don't falter, stay alive, and respect each other in the profession.
A big thank you to all three of you for having taken out time. Dolly, you undergoing treatment currently, and I apologize to you for having taken so much of your time, and I can still understand the disturbance that you are going through, and hence I've agreed to join this. Dr. Shetty, your words of wisdom always enlighten a lot of people, and Dr. Bakshi, you, the master of the subject on cancer. I must thank all of you.